Dr. Weaver, did you officially hand the baton to Dr. Myers?
You know what, we here at Ramsey have no attention to response. Dr. Myers is here. You will see the expertise that you have hired starting tonight.
Now, Josh needs to give me the name of this dog. Josh Hoffman. I think he originally just shared it with you and Chris. Do you need? I can get to it here.
The next meeting is at a totally different level.
Let's do this. Should be good. Yes, we are. I think.
Mr. Bo, can we make Mr. Bo panel?
If Mr. Tim Chatton will speak into his microphone, we can probably start.
Testing.
Okay. I'd like to call the school board meeting to order. Please rise for a moment of silent meditation. Pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening and the folks online as well. There is a log in the back of the room. If you have something you'd like to discuss, you can put that on the log. And we will have that public comment section. In addition, if there's something you'd like to talk about during the meeting, there's also the ability to fill out a form on the Zoom meeting that we have, or raise your hand there and we'll be able to answer any questions you might have. There also was an executive session prior to this meeting for discuss legal and personnel items. With that, roll call please, Ricky.
Randy Birch.
Here.
Al Darian. Here. Michael Hess.
Here.
Cecilia Holt. Here. Dennis Ritter.
Here.
Eric Johnson. Here. Carl Nolte.
Here.
Charles Schur.
Here.
Okay, the first order of business tonight will be the approval of the minutes from the August 3rd, 2020 school board meeting. Do I have a motion?
Ritter moves.
A motion, is there a second?
Pass second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions or corrections regarding those school board meeting minutes? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Randy Birch.
Yes.
Al Darian. Michael Hess.
Yes.
Cecilia Holt. Yes. Eric Johnson.
Yes.
Dennis Ritter.
Yes.
Charles Schur.
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes. So approved. Next is the approval of minutes for the August 10th, 2020 facilities and extracurricular committee meeting. Do I have a motion? A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments, questions, or corrections regarding those minutes? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Al Darian. Michael Hess.
Yes.
Cecilia Holt.
Yes.
Eric Johnson.
Present.
Dennis Ritter.
Yes.
Charles Schur.
Yes.
Randy Birch.
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes. So approved. Next is item 4, the treasurer's report. With respect to the general fund, Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Nolte. This is the treasurer's report for July 2020. The month began with a cash balance of $595,352. We had receipts of $1,718,366.25, transferred in money from our investments of $2 million, paid bills and payroll of $2,542,370.05, leaving with a cash balance at month end of $1,771,348.20.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding that report? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt, Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher, Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item 5, the approval of bills for payment. We'll start with item A, ratification for the general account, including manual checks in the amount of $1,281,343.87. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
The motion, is there a second?
Ritter, second.
Motion, any comments or questions regarding item A? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item B for approval of the general account in the amount of $972,040.31. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Sure.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding item B? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt, Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item C for approval of the construction account in the amount of $100,610.85. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding item C? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess, Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item number 6, communication and reports. We'll start with the superintendent's report, Mr. Tenchak.
Thank you, Mr. Nolte. Dr. Myers, may I have screen sharing for those?
In a minute, yes.
For the superintendent's report, looking to do an update on some of the guidance that continues to come out from the state of
Microphone.
Pennsylvania. Guidance that continues to come out from our state, whether it's the Department of Education in conjunction with the Department of Health or the Secretary of Health. Just wanted to provide an update from our last meeting and the approval of the health and safety plan. Updated guidance includes the last Monday released was the level of community transmission county table. When you're looking at when the state providing guidance, this is only guidance, this is not an order from the state, but guidance is looking at level of community transmission. They're asking us to look in the county for the incidence rate per 100,000 residents over the past 7 days, and or the PCR percent positivity rate, which is the percentage of those who are tested for COVID-19 and test positive, with the recommended instructional model. Currently, we sit as a county within that moderate range, between the 10 to 100 range in terms of incidence rate per 100,000, and we are just below the 5% range for PCR positivity rate, which puts us on the very, very low end of that moderate scale. These metrics that are being used, we talked about before how they are not perfect because there's presumed positives that are not tested, and then there are people who are tested multiple times, negative, daily, weekly, depending on their profession and the requirements that are part of it. We always want to continue to monitor what guidance the state is putting out, although as the state has made very clear to us, it's contextual, local level incidences that we want to monitor. So looking at that county level, again, we're in the low end of that moderate range, and still, believe that our health and safety plan allows us to open schools for the students that have chosen to open, to the best of our ability. The second latest guide that came out was the identification of cases from the Pennsylvania Department of Education along with the Pennsylvania Department of Health. Those recommendations for pre-K and 12 schools give us some guidance in regards to how they're recommending to act globally across the state. When cases are identified within the school, they do encourage us to continue to partner with the Department of Health for specific guidance in regards to our own contact tracing. Very clear that when a number of cases within a 14-day period is one student or staff member, that there is no need within the low and moderate ranges to close any school or to clean areas. And public health staff will direct close contacts. There are recommendations when you have in that low and moderate range, if there's multiple cases within the same school building, 2 to 4 cases, that we continue to work with the Department of Health. All this guidance comes out in a global way from the Department of Education and Department of Health. They continue to remind us that these are based on local context and to review what the local cases are, where they do begin to start recommending school closures with those cases, depending on the number of days and your current incidence rate. One of the most sort of important things I think we see there is that the state is indicating that they would begin to mandate school closures if we get to over 100 cases per 100,000. That seems to be the metric they're using as a references back to that substantial community spread. That's at what point it seems that the state will indicate they might take that away from local context and local control. But unless that occurs, we have the expectation and the authority to implement a health and safety plan that best meets the needs of our community at that time. There is the COVID-19 early warning monitoring dashboard system that provides some of that information that is updated daily, looking at periods just back 1 day through 14, looking at some of those rates. This is the PCR positivity rate of 4% there, and the incidence at 43.2 that went up slightly from the previous week's monitoring. In addition, the latest guidance that just came out today was not so much guidance, but it's clarification of the governor's order from July 1st, the Secretary of Health's order, and along with the governor's order mandating face coverings in public settings. Previously, it was indicated that health and safety plans can be approved that allow for face coverings to be removed anytime students were more than 6 feet apart. The updated guidance, while our health and safety plan was a bit more strict than what that minimum guidance was, the current order has been clarified to state that students may not take face coverings off just when they're 6 feet apart inside. Just pulling out the FAQs under what circumstances are students permitted to remove their face coverings, masks, or face shields. Schools may allow students to remove face coverings when students are eating or drinking and 6 feet apart. Wearing a face covering creates an unsafe condition in which to operate equipment or execute a task, or when they're 6 feet apart during face covering breaks to last no longer than 10 minutes. In addition, there is opportunity when you're 6 feet apart and outside to remove face coverings. So they are the only conditions in which the current order allows per the Secretary of Health. Those are the standards that we will operate by, along with our health and safety plan, and it's the best practice we can to maintain safety in our school. The guidance comes out fairly frequently, as we know, to keep those updates going. We will make edits to our health and safety plan, and we continue to bring it before the board periodically as there are significant updates and submit it to the state. Typically, we look at good news in these updates, and while ground guidance is some news from the state level, just to try to give an update on where we are with the information we have. The best news that we have is that tomorrow is our first day of in-service for teachers, and that our in-service begins virtually with a staff meeting, and throughout the week, Dr. King has a professional development plan that will allow to provide us the opportunity to be prepared for school and flexible settings, and the opportunity to start with our students in the building, which select to be here, a hybrid model, and also virtual for those who made that selection. So very excited to get teachers back in our buildings, but also participate in professional development virtually, so we can get started on August 31st.
Great.
That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Conchata. Next, we move on to item B, the board committee reports. And I'll give it a shot, Ricky, and if I miss anyone at the end, I'll let you add in for me. We'll start with facilities and ECC, Mr. Birch.
Yes, facilities ECC met last week. First order of business is we appointed a new chairman, which is yours truly, with the resignation of Mr. Schreiber. For facilities, which was actually assembled as a committee of the whole, we had received a presentation from McClure regarding HVAC recommendations. That essentially consisted of them giving a presentation of bipolar ionization, which is a system that, among other things, will remove small particles from the air and look to disinfect or clean the air, with the idea of the ionization would potentially remove harmful viruses from the air in the buildings. After the presentation, there was a motion, and that was seconded, and the board voted to approve the installation of the bipolar ionization system in our buildings, with the direction that they could spend up to $230,000 to complete that installation of those systems. With respect to the ECC, we received an update from Mr. Yapsuga. He gave us a presentation or an update regarding efforts that are being made to set up Special Olympics unified sports here in the district. So that was a very exciting update we received from Mr. Yapsuga with respect to that and their efforts to set something up with a very worthwhile endeavor with the Special Olympics. So we certainly wish him success in being able to bring that to the district. Also, we received a fall sports update, which at this point our students are practicing on a voluntary basis until we get further clarification and further update from the PIAA, which hopefully will be coming at the end of this week. But our fall sports, band, and other fall activities, extracurriculars, are assembling and practicing on a voluntary basis at this point. And our next meeting for facilities in ECC will be September 14th at 7 p.m. It will be here at the middle school commons, and then it looks like there also will be a Zoom link made available for people that would want to participate virtually. And that is my report.
Thank you, Mr. Birch. Policy and curriculum, Sol.
We also met last week and reviewed a couple of policies, 333, which is professional development, and that's on the agenda for first reading tonight, and that basically is adding in some language about the trauma-informed curriculum. Then policy 832, educational equity, that was to bring in it's new policy for our district, looking at delivering our educational in an equitable and anti-racist way. We heard from our equity team of Kylie Hand and Chris Mace, Kristen Fricky, Beth Patman, Amy Howard, who worked together with 35 additional faculty to start working on a plan to support this new policy. They're also going to be engaging students and some of the professional development this fall, starting tomorrow and going through, will be supporting that policy as well with the classrooms of program that Dr. Quinn's bringing in and so forth. So that is also on for first reading. The other three policies which were on the agenda have been pushed to next month in the interest of time, since that was a long discussion. And then the curriculum portion was an update to our reentry plan, mostly with Mr. Ken Chapman sharing percentages of students who plan to attend virtually versus in person. And that concludes my report for that.
Thank you, Ms. Holt. Next, we'll move to the BCTC. Mr. Sherman.
Yes, we met on August 5th, and two highlights from that meeting. One was the bids came in for the purchase of the student-built house down in Ole, and the bids actually, the winning bid actually came in, the high bid came in almost $25,000 higher than the appraised value for the house. So that was some good news, and I think a reflection of the quality of the student-built house. And so that's going to be moving towards sale. So that was some good news. And then the second thing was the approval of the reopening plan, the health and safety plan for BCTC, which I'm sure you can imagine, very challenging in coordinating all the different school districts and all the different reopening plans that they have. But the plan is for a full in-person reopening, which I think was in a reflection of sort of the nature of the technical education that BCTC provides. But anyway, so there's a lot of discussion on that, but those were the two highlights from that.
Great, thank you, Mr. Sherman. PCIU, Dr. Ritter. We're meeting this coming Thursday, so I don't have it reported. PSBA, Ms. Holt.
No report.
And the earned income tax for Mr. Miller.
Yeah, we met on July 30th. We were presented with the audit report. The audit report looked good. There was an unmodified opinion by the auditors. We approved the financial reports of EIT Bureau, and there was a report on the new tax software that they are transitioning to. Employers will begin registering on that software in the middle of November and begin filing using that software by the end of 2020. The next meeting is October 29th, and that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ricky, did I get them all?
What?
Did I miss anything?
You did get them all, yes.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we will move to item 7, new business. We will start with personnel. And that is item A, 1 through 14. We'll take all in one motion. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion.
I'll make a second.
A motion and a second. Any comments or questions regarding item A?
I could just make a quick comment on number 2, the resignation of Mrs. Han. She wasn't with us for very, very long, but we were fortunate to have her as Leo's first grade teacher. And she's done some very good work for us during her short time here, and I think she'll be greatly missed. And I'd like to thank her for her dedication.
Any other comments?
Just we're going to also approve Louise Moyer as the teacher at Cooktown Elementary, and I think she is essentially going to be Mrs. Hand's replacement or fill in for her, so just we would welcome her to the district. Former Cooktown graduate, I believe, so just want to take the time to welcome her to the school district.
Perfect. Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess, Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. And personnel is approved pending receipt of all mandated credentials. Next is item B, the policies first reading. And unless there's an objection, I'll take both together. Okay, we'll move together. The recommendation of the Policy Curriculum Committee that the Board of School Directors approve the first reading of the following policies. Policy number 333, professional development, and policy number 832, educational equity. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding item B?
I just have a couple quick notes on 832. I think we still have a proofreading issue where we need to change continues to continue. I think Dr. Ritter brought it up at the policy and curriculum meeting, but I think it got missed. So,
Sorry, I didn't hear all those.
There was a continues, continue the KASD.
yeah, it's under,
In the first paragraph, I think.
yeah. Yeah, it's the second to last sentence, first paragraph. Just needs a little agreement there. And then also that we look forward to a draft of a resolution for second reading.
Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Al Darian,
Yes.
Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt, Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item C, musical instrument purchase. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of School Directors approve the Con-Selmer Division of Education Stimulus Program quote request for the purchase of classic chimes at a cost of $2,822.42 per the attached. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion, is there a second? Ritter, second. Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding item C? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Al Darian, Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson, Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item D, Reading Writing Project Network Contract Approval. It is the recommendation of the administration of the Board of School Directors to approve the agreement with Reading Writing Project LLC for professional development at a cost of $32,400 for the attached. Do I have a motion?
Move out.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any comments or questions regarding item D?
Could you just put some color on that, project for me, please?
This is the Teachers College, reading and writing that our teachers have been engaging in for many years.
Microphone?
A microphone. This is the Teachers College Reading and Writing Project that goes along with our units of study implementation at the elementary level as our core literacy program. It's this continued professional development that will occur. We've been fortunate to be selected as a host site, which allows us to have some additional professional development. These next two, both E and F, are essentially part of the same agreement, but because of the way they had to designate us as a whole school, they're both teachers' college and come under two different LLCs. So there's a little bit of a confusing part there. If you want more details, we can bring Dr. Quinn up, but it's continued professional development for our core literacy instruction in the elementary level.
So this is an ongoing, we've had this for several years now.
We have, yeah, this is the third full year of professional development and implementation.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item C, the TCRWP contract approval. It is the recommendation of administration of the Board of School Directors approve the agreement with Teachers College Reading and Writing Project for professional development at a cost of $7,350 per the attached. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
A motion, a second. Any comments or questions regarding item E? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item F, TLS contract approval. It is the recommendation of the administration of the Board of School Directors approve the professional development training agreement at a cost of $4,325 per the attached. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding item F? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt, Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item G, the bus and van routes. It is the recommendation of the administration of the Board of School Directors approve the bus and van routes for the 2020-2021 school year, and to allow the transportation coordinator and or his designee to make any necessary changes to existing routes as deemed appropriate throughout the 2020-2021 school year, with the exception of changes that involve additional costs for the deletion of a route. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding item G? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item H, the new story agreement. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of School Directors approve the tuition agreements with New Story Schools and Services in Reading, PA for special education students, two, at a cost of $380 per enrolled day for the 2020 extended school year for the attached. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Ritter, second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding item H? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item I, the news story agreement. It is the recommendation administration that the Board of School Directors approve the tuition agreement with New Story Schools and Services in Reading, PA for a special education student at a cost of $380 per day for the 2020-21 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions regarding item I? Hearing none, roll call please, Ricky.
Randy Birch,
Yes.
Al Darian, Michael Hess,
Yes.
Cecilia Holt,
Yes.
Eric Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis Ritter,
Yes.
Charles Scher,
Yes.
Carl Nolte.
Yes, so approved. Next is item J, introduction of new business by board members. Is there anyone from the board who would like to bring something forward?
I do, just a couple quick questions, and these are really behalf on some members of the public, but, could we get like an idea, could you give us an idea of what classroom sizes are gonna look like now that we have some of the numbers of who's going virtual and who's going in person?
Yes.
Microphone?
Microphone. I'm just gonna take it to Mary here, so every time. We're looking at, class sizes in the elementary. In kindergarten, we're looking at a max of about 14, 13 and 14. For first grade, we're looking at 14, 15 at the max. Second grade, looks like 15 would be a max. In third grade, we have a 14. Oh, my form just updated on your end. Sorry about that. I think at fourth grade, we have a 15 max currently, where we have our largest class sizes are looking at fifth grade in Kutztown Elementary School in Greenwich, where we have 20 as the average there. So that is the one grade level where we were not able to get kind of down overall the board was fifth grade. At the middle school, I don't have the final numbers. I mean, they're going to be really small, with 35% approximately of those students.
I'm sorry, you said 35% going?
35% at the middle school. It's a little bit lower than that, again, because there were some that didn't complete it at all, I guess. But we're going to see pretty small class sizes at the middle school when Mr. Brown has it all designated by classroom. At the high school, the largest class size with the hybrid was 14. So we're seeing good numbers in that 14 range across the district, with the exception fifth grade is the one outlier that's a little bit larger. That's partially because we had a really small class. We have a small class there in fifth grade, and we reduced one section going into the year, kind of not COVID planning. So we're looking at the largest spaces we can use for that fit for those fifth grade classes.
Okay, and then the teaching assignments for the students that are learning virtually, is it going to be, in elementary, is it going to be pretty much one teacher per grade level?
Yeah, so it will be one teacher per grade level. We are looking in the elementary as if it will be almost like two sections though, but it'll be two sections of the same grade level where there is one teacher assigned to teach the math and literacy, and then there is another teacher that will be doing the science and social studies across all grade levels. We looked at the teaching time and elementary schedule, so there will be one teacher per grade level, but they're going to have what we would call two sections because of only doing the math, since they only, but the math and literacy is not the rest of the pieces that the teacher does in the regular classroom if you want.
Okay, I think we just saved our new tech director a little bit of work with the Zoom chat there.
And I do have an update. Mr. Anderson shared that he has, I'm sorry, third, I thought we have one other class, and it's third grade class is 19, which in my document here isn't correct. So we do have another large class size, one in third grade at 19, again, large by our current standards. Typically I would do a small class size, and in fifth grade as well, we have this 20. So they were the two that we did not see the significant reductions we were hoping for. While we have students enrolled in virtual, just the averages didn't work out that way.
In that fifth grade, is that 20 in each section, or is it breaking down different in different buildings?
Yeah, it is. It'll break down to 20, and there's a few students who were at one point slated to go to Greenwich that will be going to KES. And I apologize, I'm looking here, I'm not sure if they were moving this document, so I'm seeing a 19.5 at 21, but I think it's 20 across the board.
That almost sounds like we need one more section.
You know, and then you go to sections, then you're looking without moving kids significantly form buildings, and next we would be looking at sections that are really small, like 10, you know, and there's no perfect number.
One more would put us at 15. We'd have 4 sections of 15 instead of 3 at 20.
If they were evenly distributed across both buildings. That's, you know, without having sequential schools where we have Greenwich, and that always leads to some inefficiency. If we just distribute it evenly across, yes, another section will get stuck.
Maybe 5 from Greenwich and 10 from Kutztown have to move to another section, I think. Depending on how crowded it gets and what the conditions are, it's something I think we need to consider. Yeah, that means hiring someone, but that may be what we have to do.
You know, we're going to monitor how we can space those students, so we'll certainly not get to 6 feet, you know, or I think we're going to be more in the 3 or 4 range when we look at those students. It's going to be using the larger spaces that we have. Space in the district, you know, without having sequential schools, it's, you know, it's tough to really distribute kids the right way. So we'll monitor it and keep those in consideration.
The other option, of course, is bringing 5th grade up here, where we have plenty of room. Again, not something we have to do right now, but as things develop and as we look at the situation, as more information about the virus comes out, it may be something we'll need to do.
It's a fact that this school has more space available than any other school in the district. That's just a fact. Anybody who spends time here would know. Thank you.
Anyone else from the board that's going to bring forward?
Yes, just first, thanks again to you, Mr. Tim Jackson, his administrative team, and the teachers for all their hard work to get things ready for the new school year. It's been a very daunting task for everybody, and they've really done a nice job. But what I wanted to just bring out is, I'm not sure how many people are participating virtually tonight, but we still need to appoint a replacement for Mr. Schauber, who's resigned. I'm assuming we have some interest or some information on the school website, but anyone from Region 3, which would include Albany, Greenwich, and Leonardsville, if they would have an interest in serving on the board, which for this point would amount to 2-year, or until
the election.
Until the next election, okay. But we're looking for letters of interest and application for people that would be interested in serving. So if anybody's out there that resides in Region 3 and does have an interest in serving, we would greatly appreciate people sending letters of interest in and letting us know they would like to fill the seat.
Thank you, Mr. Birch. Yes, Ms. Holt.
At facilities last week, when we received a presentation from McClure and we subsequently approved the improved filtration and bipolar ionization, we learned that it won't be in place when school starts, and I brought up the possibility of providing teachers with N95 masks, since they statistically are at an increased risk of getting very sick. So I was wondering if that has been looked into at all.
We have not secured the N95s yet, so I'd say that we won't have them in time. I know that there's been a lot about the efficacy of different masks connected in the news the past few weeks, and one thing we've learned is that we do have to look at the gators as a potential problem. I know I'm kind of going to a different part of this, but looking at which masks have been most effective. Richard, this is the report to looking to speak.
Yeah, we are sourcing those N95s right from Weaver's Hardware. They have them in stock. We're just gonna look at pricing on those. And also, McClure will be here this Wednesday and fitting at least 2 units. So we will be getting at least those. They're ramping those up, so we will get some of those going.
Thank you.
So that was my question. We got notice that things may happen a little more quickly than we thought would before.
Yes, they're coming here to test fit some of the, and again, install some of that bipolar ionization units to make sure we're 100%. That will be an install, like I said, Wednesday.
Okay, very good. Mr. Hess.
I guess this question might be directed towards Richard again, sorry, in the back of the room. If they're coming to install those, do we maybe have a way to prioritize rooms? I don't know if they came in with a plan for a specific room for install, but if it makes sense, to try to prioritize those to the rooms where we think we're going to have the highest number of students.
What the plan was is to try to test fit some units across, but there was no specific priority. It's test fit probably one of each style that they plan on installing.
Okay.
We can visit that when they get here.
Okay, thank you.
To clarify, and I guess it was not clear because I wasn't speaking to the microphone, is that from our initial numbers of students signing up for virtual to middle school, it was up as high as 35%. It drops a little bit lower than that, once we pulled out duplicates and so on. But it's the middle schools that have the highest virtual rate in terms of enrollment, and it was it's going to be between 32 and 35%.
Anyone else from the board? Okay, well, that will move to the public comment section. Anyone in the public that would like to make a comment, either here locally in the room or on the virtual Zoom meeting?
Mr. Huffer.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can, Mr. Huffer.
Okay, thank you. Kate is very concerned about the classrooms at Greenwich Elementary that have the higher number of students. We're concerned about the inability to socially distance the students and are aware that you are aware of it, but we ask that the situation be investigated more thoroughly and resolved before the start of school on the 31st. We have some very scared teachers up there because of the number of students in their classes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard.
As we said, we're continuing to look at whether best spaces we could use, now that we know those numbers are, what they are, and looking at what spaces might be available in Greenwich, or, do we have to look elsewhere? It's the margin of a few kids is really the difference between what we're saying is a comfortable number and an uncomfortable number at times, but, the health and safety plan, we knew going into it that guaranteeing 6 was not necessarily possible across all settings, but we're gonna get pretty close with most. But we'll head up to Greenwich and measure some spaces again and get back to CADA and the board as far as we can find to go up there.
Any other comments?
Nothing online, nothing here.
Doesn't appear to be anyone else online or in the room with the comments. So with that, we will move on to item 8, which is your informational items. Everyone received a condensed board summary report and a cafeteria report. Finally, item 9 is upcoming public meetings and informative dates. On September 8th, which is a Tuesday, there will be a school board meeting here at 7:30 p.m. in the middle school commons, as well as a Zoom option. On September 14th, there will be a policy and curriculum committee meeting at 6 p.m. again here in the middle school commons with a Zoom option. And on September 14th, there will be a facilities and ECC committee meeting at 7 p.m. here in the middle school commons again with a Zoom option. Next, we'll move to item 10, adjournment. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. So be it. Have a good night.